Hey there, happy hump day. Here I am again at 12 p.m. It may be a little bit louder because I forgot that I was going to be doing laundry at this time. So, laundry is happening behind me in the laundromat, and I am out here in the car. I ended up with about 3 comforters, and I'm trying to wash them in a small washer. It just makes my skin crawl, so it's easier to just knock it all out. So that's where I am. And today I want to talk to you about eating late at night. So I made a post on my personal page about this, and so many comments with like 6 or 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Or not eating 2 hours before, 3 hours before. Some saying, man, that's a myth, I don't follow it. Others like, well, I don't get off of work till 2 a.m., so I eat at 2 a.m. and this and that. And the truth is, everyone is actually right. Because there are no concrete studies. Hey, what's up, ladies? There are no concrete studies that don't contradict the study before that. And so essentially it comes down to knowing what's best for you. But within that, there's more to talk about, which is what we're going to talk about today. So first I'm going to share some studies that I found, and then which will also show how confusing this whole philosophy can be. One of which was in 2012. It was with 78 overweight police officers, and that study showed and proved for those 78 guys that when they ate most of their carbs at dinner, they were able to lose more weight in inches off their waist, right? So that's an advocate for eating more carbs at dinner time. Another study in 2013, 74 overweight women, they ate most of their calories, their overall calories, they ate most of it at breakfast time, and they were able to lose more weight in inches than those that ate at nighttime. Next, we have another study in 2013 with some normal weight subjects that found that avoiding calories between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. led to 239 fewer calories per day, which definitely adds up over time and can result in weight loss, right? Those fewer calories. So as you can see, each study supported, nighttime eating, morning time eating, fasting, stopping, at 7 and doing all this. So there's different, what's up, Tara? There's different studies showing different things because everyone's body is differently. Everyone's bodies work differently. But let's talk about the real problem here when it comes to late night eating. It's not all about timing so much as it is what you're doing around that time. Usually you're settling down, you just got in from work, maybe you made yourself some dinner, you ate that already, it's almost time for bed, but you decide to watch some TV. And usually in this chill state is where something, and I'm going to abuse this word, it's like hedonic hyperphagia or something like that. Please excuse me. But what it stands for is, or what it means is eating for pleasure, right? And that's that thing that's just like, oh, I'm watching TV, I should have a snack. I'm at the movies, I should have a snack. And it's just this need to eat more. And so this is where people get caught up, and this is a problem that normally happens around nighttime. It's not limited to nighttime, but it's something that normally happens around that time. And it's because you've already ate your daily calories for the day. That's done. And then, oh, but I want this or I want that. And so not being able to control those cravings and eating in surplus is what actually sets us up for failure and can result in weight loss. In weight gain. So if any of that makes sense, please go ahead and hit me with a heart or a like or something. If it doesn't make sense, angry face works just as well. But essentially my advice to you is when it comes to knowing what time to eat, I would say eat for what you're about to do and or eat for what you've just done. So if you know you're about to go to sleep, maybe eating a large, 400, 500 calorie meal is maybe not the best because you're about to wind down. Your body's about to shut down. You're about to go into a relaxed state, and the glucose that you're going to get from the foods you're going to eat is not going to be used as much as it would if you were still continuing on throughout your day. So if you're about to wind down, I would stay away from high amounts of starchy vegetables or complex carbohydrates and stick more of like low starchy vegetables, smaller amounts of whole grains, maybe even some seeds and avocados and fats at that time, as well as protein. If you just worked out, if you're a nighttime, if you train at night, right? Some people like to train in the morning, others like to train at night. So if you're training at night, you gotta fuel up. So your meal actually would probably be consistent mostly of carbohydrates, because that's what your body needs to recover, and that's when it's insulin sensitive, and it'll be able to actually use that. So always after a really, especially an intense training session, carbohydrates are what you're going to need to turn that body into an anabolic state, right? A state of recovery. So if you just worked out and it's at night, go ahead and fuel up. Your body will actually use it. And it's just going to go straight to your muscles to replenish the glycogen and the glucose that was used there and in your liver. So if that makes sense, again, go ahead, a like or a heart. Well, I was trying to make a heart, but I don't have my other hand because I'm holding up this iPad. So yeah, so that's my advice to you. Eat for what you're about to do, or eat for what you've just done. And if you stick with that, and of course, choose your foods wisely. No refined sugars, whole grains, whole foods, legumes, vegetables, fruit, as local as possible, as farm fresh as possible. Like if you make those choices, then it can all result in what you're looking for, whether that's weight loss or enhanced strength. It all works for you. What's up, Bree? And if and something that I personally do, I do intermittent fasting. I fast somewhere between 12 to 16 hours a day, and that usually starts at nighttime for me. It helps because I normally teach at night, so my dinner ends up being about 5, and then I don't eat again until about 9 a.m. the next day. I sometimes eat a little bit earlier now because I'm working out earlier, but I try to have at least 12 hours between the last time I ate and the time I'm going to eat again. And the reason for that is because glucose and the human growth hormone cannot be present in your body at the same time, and you need that HGH to be released so that your body can recover. When you go to sleep, your body turns into goes into an anabolic state, and which means it's recovery time. And so for people that stop eating earlier, instead of right before they go to bed, they get a jump start on that anabolic state and getting that HGH in their body. This is my biggest struggle. I try to eat healthy light snacks before bed, but I always end up binging on chocolate or ice cream. Bree, that's just self-control. I love you, but honestly, that's just self-control. Why do you have to have snacks right before you go to sleep? What's the real trigger for that? Is there an emotional cause? What's up, Shanita? Like, what's going on for you at that time that's something that you feel you need to have? Not to say that it's bad, but if you've already, again, we're talking about surplus here. If you've already eaten your calories for the day, anything you're doing at this time is usually just because you just want to eat for pleasure, and so therefore it's going to result in a surplus of calories for you. I guess the fulfilling helps me sleep. Well, then adjust your choices and or adjust what you're eating for dinner, and make sure your dinner is actually satisfying. And be honest with yourself if you're making an excuse or not, because oftentimes as humans, especially nowadays, we eat just because the food is there, and we hardly ever eat from a calorie deficit because we usually don't have one. So that's just something to think about when you make choices. It's not to say that one thing is wrong or right. You just have to be aware of where you're coming from and the choices that you're making, the quality of food that you're eating, and what that's going to do in your body, and how much you've already had that day. So you need to take all those things into consideration. Me personally, I don't always eat directly right before I go to bed unless I just had a late night training session, in which case I need to replenish the muscles and the glycogen that was just used. I try to eat before 8, and I try to eat bigger in the morning and lighter in the evening. So I switch to 2 and eat bigger later. And are you asking if you should? I say just eat. Just eat. If you have an idea about how many calories you're consuming and that works for you, just eat. I don't know what time you're going to bed in regard to that 8 p.m., so I can't really say, Bree, but I will say find what works. Find what works for you. My meals are all pretty much even. It's based around my workouts or whatever I'm doing that day. If I'm fairly sedentary that day, I'm usually not taking in a lot. If I'm really active, then my meals are then larger. So you're giving 11 o'clock. So you're giving yourself at least 3 hours to digest your food. So yeah, maybe just eat more. Maybe balance out instead of focusing on eating more in the morning time and less in the nighttime, or eating more at night or less in the morning. Play around with it and see what works best for you. What enhances your quality of sleep? What fits right with your goals? Because then the question becomes, well, then what are you eating at dinner time? So there's all of these factors that play into weight loss and weight gain and nighttime eating. As always, the rule of thumb: eat for what you're about to do. If you're about to go to sleep, don't eat that much. And then you have to eat for what, because I'm talking to a lot of athletes here and people that are working out, eat for what you just did. If you just busted your ass in the gym or in the pole studio or at the park on a bike ride, a swim or whatever, you just busted your ass, and it just happens to be at night before you go to sleep, guess what? You gotta recover. So that's where those carbohydrates are going to come into play, and they'll be used to replenish, as opposed to eating that same amount of food and those same types of food without having worked out, and now it's just going to get turned into glycogen in your liver if there's space. If not, it's going to get turned into fat. So eat for what you're going to do, eat for what you just did, and then if you can, personally, I've seen great results with this, is try to have at least 12 hours between what time you eat your last meal and then your first meal the next day. And what that does is it allows for that HGH hormone to be present, and it allows your body to be able to properly recover, and that's all that does. And if you happen to wait even later to eat after you wake up, then your fuel source becomes your fat instead of your carbohydrates, because it's no longer in your blood from your fast. So if you're looking to lose weight, that's something you can definitely take advantage, or if you're looking to lose fat, that's something you can take advantage of. Burn that fat for fuel in the morning time. And the best way to ensure that your body doesn't use your protein for energy as well in the mornings, if you have some amino acids on you, you can go ahead and take some of that, or like a hemp, an all natural protein shake. Okay, I think that's all I have for you. I hope that was helpful. Pretty much, to recap, there's no, all the studies on nighttime eating conflict one another. So it really kind of comes down to you and knowing your body, as well as the types of foods that you're eating and the lifestyle that you lead. So eat for what you're about to do, eat for what you've just done, and if you can, try to fast as long as you can between your last meal and your first meal, so that your body can use fat for fuel if your goal is fat loss. If not, fuck it, eat all damn day. No, seriously, your body does need to recover. So have some kind of fast so your human growth hormone can be present while you're sleeping. If that makes sense, please hit me with a like, thumbs up, or a heart. You are so very welcome, Bree. I'm sorry it's so general, but there's, as you can see, there's so much that goes into eating. It's very personalized to you, what your lifestyle is, and the choices and the quality of the food that you're eating. So if all of this makes sense, please thumbs up, heart, and feel free to share this. If there's someone that you think could benefit from this information, that are diehard, like telling you don't need to eat past 6 because of this and that. You know, Oprah, someone even wrote, Oprah said don't eat past 8. I don't know where Oprah's lifestyle is. I hang out with a bunch of other trainers and athletes that are working out till 9 p.m. So we're probably going to eat around 9:15. And you just got to make the best choice with what you have. You got to refuel. You got to take care of yourself. So I love you, ladies. Thank you for the questions and the feedback. And please share this if it makes sense to you or not. And if you're watching this later, go ahead and still post your comments and your questions and your experiences on this thread, and I'll make sure to respond. All right, I hope that was helpful in some kind of way. Bye, guys. Enjoy your Wednesday.